Kia ora, Tangaroa here. I have almost a South African accent going on. It's currently 11:30 at night, and for reasons best known to my neurochemistry, I can't sleep, so we're going to do the next video. This is another Loz flower kit. It looks like it has a standard English rose and another California poppy. And there's a little bit of administrative work to do before we can dive into this. So I've already raided my drone repair kit, or toolbox for my drone repair kit, to get myself some appropriate kit to help me carry on with this awesome and important task. And I also grabbed myself a pair of tweezers because I'm pretty sure I spent the entire video last time complaining about having Mongo hands, which, you know, having Mongo hands is a struggle. You know, it's like being born beautiful or wealthy. It's just one of those terrible burdens that some people have to bear. The reason I call them Mongo hands is actually after the character from Blazing Saddles, Mongo, because if you remember that series TV show with any amount of fondness, you'll remember that Mongo was both huge and kind of sweet. So Mongo hands is not meant to be put down to anyone that has large hands. It's more of a bit of self-depreciation. Not because I need to be kept humble, because I am fantastic, but people get very annoyed when you wander the earth saying, you know what, I'm actually pretty fucking fantastic. You know? It is perceived as not being the done thing, which, okay, cool, whatever. There's a lot of things in society that don't make a lot of sense. I kind of think it's, people should be able to measure their own worth. I was never the fastest runner in the world. I was never the strongest. I did have freak endurance though, so could go for days. Okay, so we are diving straight into making, actually quite nice things. Diving straight into, according to the wonderful instructions, we're diving straight into making what I believe is an orange California poppy. I probably should look into the flowers to know what I'm building, but don't know if you've noticed, there's not a huge amount of preparation that goes into these videos apart from buying the actual Lego kits, which, depending on how you feel, is or isn't prep work. Like, not gonna lie, recording this video today, kind of, it's not my smartest move. Probably shouldn't throw it up straight away, but I'm going to, because I'm going to be bereft of content for probably a month or two of these videos. I'll try and find something else to do to keep you all entertained. Might review some more stuff, although they don't appear to be particularly popular, so yeah. But that's just how it is. Like, the alternative is to drip feed these videos out. You know, like part 1 out this week, part 2 out next week. I'm like, screw that. The videos are made, you guys can watch them. Like, and there's only, I get to see my analytics. There's literally 5 people watching these videos. The same 5 people that have been watching almost every single video I've made. So it's a small niche audience. You know, my most watched video is 30 views, so there is no risk of me suddenly becoming the next viral sensation and taking over the universe. Which is good, because I don't no idea how the hell I would cope with that. But yeah, so these videos are averaging about 15 views a month. And like I said, the primary audience is people that, the two people that have expressed the fact that my voice is comforting to them and helps them get to sleep. That's why today, or earlier today, I made a playlist. But the real reason I make these is it gives me an excuse to do something for other people. Which is kind of why I'm sitting here with not able to sleep at 11:30 at night, even though I should be asleep. Because my body, my brain, my neurochemistry does not like doing things for myself. Don't really like me. You know? I see myself at my best and my worst. I've heard myself eloquently explain the truth and bullshit like an arsehole. And at the end of the day, I am kind of sick and tired of myself. I don't particularly like me most of the time. And I have a feeling that there's a few people in my audience that know exactly what I mean when I say that, and a whole bunch of other people that will never know. And I wish it was more a case of nobody actually knew what I was talking about, and no one has actually had to live through that particular piece of excitement, because it's not. It is not a pleasant experience. Okay, so. The other problem I'm kind of facing at the moment is I'm kind of due for a haircut, so I've got all these weird curls falling in my face. Thankfully I'm keeping my head off screen. Unfortunately, you guys are just going to have to deal with seeing my gut. Because, tragically, the body in which I occupy is made out of the same blood and shit as everybody else, and is slowly falling apart. Not quite fast enough for my tastes, but you know, you can't have everything, it turns out. I don't really want everything, but I'd settle for like, 4 or 5 things. Dark and mean thoughts mainly directed at myself. So, my frustration at not being able to find this. Where is this part? Okay, go away leaf, go away leaf, or just more petals. Aha, found it. Oy, okay. I'm not making 5 of these. No way I have enough little yellow sons of bitches to make 5 of them, so let's see what our next step is. Oh, thank God I only wanted 1. That was almost upsetting. Okay, so how does that... And we've been invaded by a Tiamat. Sorry that you can't see anything except a large furry cat. Hey, you do not get to eat Lego. Okay, you know you do not get to eat Lego. Buddy, come on. Just, you're being silly. And come down and go. Okie dokie, well now that the exciting pitch invasion is over, yeah, unfortunately Maui has a habit of eating things that are not good for him, and he will get very sick and I'll have to take him to the doctor and it will cost me a lot of money, and I don't begrudge spending money on my cat. I do begrudge him almost deliberately poisoning himself, which, you know, it's kind of how that feels when he proceeds to eat things that are not Maui food. And so apparently we just slam this on the top here. So we're actually making the inner, should probably get the right colour bits. I'm suffering again from the problem we had earlier today where I can't quite, my eyes are not quite good enough at colour discernment for me to be getting 100% the right part all the time. But I have a sneaky suspicion it's meant to be this yellow bastard. Okay. Okay. Replace this with the same little yellow bastard. So yeah, in a way, making the logo is kind of is becoming a form of my therapy, because it is a kind of constructive thing that I can do, that I kind of enjoy, and that I don't really begrudge myself. Because that's the other dangerous thing. There we go, that is what we're up to. We have made our little statements. There we go. And since my primary audience isn't actually watching this, I don't know why I keep pointing up to the camera and going, look at the thing I made, isn't it beautiful? It's like, guys aren't really... I don't know, maybe you are watching it with bated breath, and every time I hold something up to show it, it is met with thunderous applause. I do not know. And here comes Maui again. Yeah, buddy. You know I'm not going to let you eat this stuff, right? Just... Oh, okay, excellent. There's something deeply unpleasant about having a furry cat's butt in your face. Repeatedly. Still, I guess that's what I signed up for. Can't really complain, it's all self-inflicted. What's up, guy? Do you not have enough space in the corner? What's up? I appear to have put a teacup in the wrong place. This has destroyed what equanimity Te Maui possesses. Proof that I am a bad cat dad, if proof is required. So I'm pretty sure that you are just getting a picture of one of my tattoos and a giant furry cat. There's not much I can do to prevent him from doing as he will, as he is a cat. And that includes slapping me in the face because with his tail, because he is exploring everything, because we are suddenly slightly different than we were before. Which, you know, I get it. You know, everybody likes something new and exciting. Just kind of over having fur on my tongue. Oh, that's what she said. Classic jokes from my youth. I'm always punctuated with "that's what she said." Because there is... Hey, buddy. What's up? You can't keep rubbing your scent on absolutely everything in the house. That's just not going to work. See, it's just not going to work. More so when I'm particularly not going to let you eat everything that's in the house, which I know is a complete betrayal and not the deal that you signed up for. But I would like to remind you that the deal that you think you signed involved you getting very sick within a week of me owning you, because you ate 4 limes. That was, yeah. get a little bit frustrated when people sit there and go, "Oh, cats won't eat anything that makes them sick." It's like, he will. He ate 4 goddamn limes. He will eat chili. He ate a chili plant. Like, he took a bite of a leaf and pulled a sour face, and I thought, oh, perfect. He's not going to eat this. It will be fine. And then the next morning when I woke up, he had eaten the entire thing down to the dirt and was lying on his back acting like he was very, very sick. And that was another trip to the vet. And I'm like, how do I stop him from eating things he's not supposed to? And the vet's like, well, unfortunately your cat is an idiot, even by the sliding scales that we use for domestic cats. You gotta dumb him. It's just how it is. It's got nothing to do with the fact that he's a ginger. He's just an idiot. Before we get into a Jean and Jort situation, which people tell me that my cat is amazing and intelligent, he's really not. He's not a very smart cat. He gets trapped in bags. Big IKEA bag, for the record. And that is where we're up to with our little California puppy, or what I presume to be a California puppy. Oh. Oh, there we go, kids. Proof that the universe hates me. I hope the drinking sounds don't bother anyone. There's absolutely no... Well, try talking for half an hour, 40 minutes. Straight without drinking and tell me how well it works for you, because for me it doesn't really work very well. So, that is why. That's why Papa drinks. Papa drinks because you make him sad. It's a terrible thing to say. Oh my god, I'm a horrible human being. I'm not going to try and excuse that. That was a terrible thing to say, y'all. I'm sorry. Papa doesn't drink because he's sad. Papa drinks because he's got problems and he doesn't know how to deal with them any other way. That's why Papa drinks. But I'm just drinking soda water, for the record. That's probably why I'm still up. You didn't drink yourself into an unconscious state. That was your mistake. I know, right, Brian? Should 100% correct that and just get absolutely shit-faced every single day. That will totally solve all my problems. It won't. Drinking until I pass out solves absolutely nothing. Ask me how I know. So, yeah. Normally I'd get up and read a book in a situation like this. You know. Cool. We'll just lose count of what we're doing. 5, 8, 10, 12. 14, 15, 17. Okay, that should be all of these I need to connect together. Yeah. Normally I would read something happy and cheery, like a book on decolonial, the politics of decolonization, or read about the abuses of religious organisations against BIPOCs. You know, normal cheery things that give you nice, pleasant dreams. You know, sure as hell don't wallow in suffering. And I sure as hell don't read literally hundreds and hundreds of cookbooks in the hope that I can just get good enough that I will never have to go back. So that's kind of a dark secret, the dark secret of the Saduka and the Fremen. It's kind of hinted at. Well, I think Frank Herbert comes out and says it, but the dude never lived it clearly. There are certain places where people come from, bereft of hope and opportunity. And those places are necessary in a capitalist society. They are needed. They are needed as much as capital is needed, as much as fresh water and groceries are needed. They are needed for the sinister reason that you need soldiers. You need people that are almost broken, so you can rebuild them the way you want them to be. And you also need them to be tough and driven. And by tough and driven, I mean you need people that come from a bad enough place that the threat of sending them back is a serious threat. That hell we rescued you from, you will go right back there. You will live and die in that festering shell. And yeah, there are a lot of places like that. And they are very deliberately kept that way. You know, like the dirt farmers of the Ozark Mountains are always going to be the dirt farmers of the Arkansas, of the Ozark Mountains, because they are needed to be the poor dirt farmers. Like, without these people bereft of hope, without these people being damaged and trapped and forlorn, you don't get that thing that an imperialist nation needs. Aggressive, willing, pitiless soldiers. So, when Baghdad was invaded, a lot of regular infantry, regular soldiers, went on a wild smash and grab in the nicer parts of Baghdad, because you've got to remember it was a city, and there were still nice parts and bad parts. And they didn't really go to the poor parts and smash the shit out of them. I mean, some of them did, looking for whorehouses and stuff like that. But a lot of soldiers went and smashed the absolute shit absolute shit out of the nicer parts of town. These guys that have come from buttfuck nowhere Australia, and buttfuck nowhere America, and buttfuck nowhere England, wouldn't go and destroy the homes of the poor and the desperate not straight away. They vented a lot of their fury that they felt on the petty bourgeois. The humble middle manager had his office destroyed and his house burnt down. The nicer areas of town were the ones being routinely searched for weapons, having doors kicked in at all hours, had psychological warfare units playing death metal music 24 hours a day to deprive them of sleep. Of course, it was all carefully chosen targets, etc., etc., etc. Well, sure hell wasn't a venting of primal rage of the have-nots against some of the haves. It just looked like it. That's why no one attempted to stop the looting of the Baghdad Museum. It's not because the average soldier didn't give a shit, or the fact that orders weren't given to protect things like that. It's that when you go to and see a large modern museum filled with antiquities and filled with cats, I don't know why you had to climb over my face to do that, Maui. It looks like the Met Gala, or something you'd see in a capital city, because it is something you'd see in a capital city. It is a great shining tribute to a civilization. The only problem is, if you come from an uncivilized part of the world, or you're an uncivilized human being, through no fault of your own, the intense injustice of being sent to a place that you don't understand, to wage a war you do not understand, against people that you do not understand, but who look just enough like you, and act just enough like you that you can kind of see yourself in them. Kind of brings back a lot of the old resentments that you'll have, that a lot of soldiers will have had. The resentments around never having a nice job, or never understanding why people go to nice museums and want to stare at all this expensive rich people's shit, knowing full well that while the Romanov dynasty did have some extremely beautiful uniforms and gems, California poppy, compared to the Lego one, I kind of feel the Chinese one is a better. The low-rank Chinese one, to me, looks like a better poppy. Truer to the type, with the multi-level stamens in particular, kind of make it. Oh my god, what the fuck is that? Well, that's what we're built. That, kids, is what we're building next. Hey, what the fuck is that? Looks like baby's breath or something. It could be baby's breath, I guess. I don't know. Well, building it's going to be exciting. Okay. Oh, shit. Okay, let's try going from the bottom. How's that work? That is like trying to push wet rope. There we go. Okay, first bit is done. Now, so we've got 5 of these buggers. Maybe like 100 of these things to build. All you're going to do is keep building them until you go mad, you see. And once you've gone mad, it's much easier to just keep building them forever. But yeah, so the dark, depraved, and insanely poor places are required. Otherwise, you will not get people with the appropriate amount of rage and disillusionment to join the military to commit things best described as crimes against humanity. I mean, in my opinion, that's what war really boils down to. It's not just... It's not a crime against a nation state. It's not a crime against an individual. It's a crime against the very concept of what it is to be human. You know? And yes, I know wars have been with us for a very long time, and will be with us for a very long time after all this is over. So why are you getting all upset about something that is fundamentally an almost inexhaustible war of human society? Well, because there's a difference between 30 guys raiding the next village over and a dude drinking a cup of shitty coffee, pressing a button in Nevada, and destroying a wedding in a country that 95% of people in the West can't find on a map. That's kind of where I start thinking we have crossed over. We've kind of gone beyond the pale, as it were, beyond what could be reasonably argued is proportionate. If invading someone else's country and killing people can be considered proportional in any way, shape or form, which maybe it shouldn't be. Okie dokie. Sorry about getting all moribund, kiddies. Like I said, I'm kind of struggling with a bit of insomnia tonight. Dark thoughts while we await the long dawn. It will come. The dawn always comes. It's in its nature. But if you're unlucky enough to experience the wait for dawn, well, you have my deepest sympathies. It is not pleasant. See, I kind of want to make sure I'm using the right colour for this, but I'm not seeing that it's not leaping out at me, and that actually could be because I'm an idiot. Be honest, reasonable chance. Or it could be that I'm just meant to use this slightly different shade of green, which I think I'm just going to use the slightly different shade of green and carry on. You know what, I reckon that is the right shade of green. I don't think I'm that much of an idiot. I mean, it's probably an erroneous conclusion to leap to, but that feels like the conclusion I want to leap to. Okay, so now we're going to do... Oh my god, more patterns again, kids. So we've got different coloured of these little balls, and some of them go on to look like the flowers that aren't completely open, which, once again, full points to Loz for making it this way. This is very cool. I kind of would like that to be a little bit tighter. It's not going to be, but I would like it to be. So, we'll drop that guy there. And this appears to be a rinse and repeat. I will say that the way this kit, the Loz kits go together, or Loz kits go together, does feel quite satisfying. There is, as much as I'm bemoaning the patterns of the various petals, etc., as a petty bourgeois extravagance, it does add something nice to it. Like, it adds that, it makes them look more natural than if you were to... That's just okay. So I was just hearing a rhythmic crunching noise. I believe it is Teo Maui has found himself a deceased toy to entertain himself with. So I will say more power to him and let him chew on it. We all have our vices, of course. As my grandmother used to say, never trust someone that does not have a vice. For every man has a vice. It's just that some people are honest with them, and some people aren't. And I, of course, have learnt to my own cost that you should be careful of what vices people claim to have. Some people do adopt a vice as a performative gesture, which, yeah, I know, right? Just become an addict like the rest of us, for Christ's sake. Cut out the performative nonsense. But there are people out there that will do the performative nonsense for reasons best known to themselves. It reminds me a little bit of the people in high school who, when your English teacher asked you to write about the most traumatic thing that had ever happened to you, specifically to you, a lot of people wrote about traumas of either not getting presents that they knew or trauma that they'd watched secondhand, which, yeah, I'm sure it's very traumatic for you to realise your parents can get sick, or that your parents will eventually fight. But to sit there and say that your dad cheating on your mum when you're 13 is a personal trauma is I'm not gonna be an arsehole. It's performative. It is most definitely performative. Like, you haven't had an adult relationship yet, Becky. You don't get to claim your mother's trauma over her husband cheating on her as your own. You know, give it time. I'm sure you'll make the exact same mistakes your mother did and end up dating someone who's just as terrible. Like, you know, just be patient. You're yeah, this is becoming Tweezer country. Now the convenient thing is it will actually go together. The problem is it's quite... Okay, the tweezers I've chosen are too thin for the task at hand. So let's walk this backwards a bit. What if... Well, a snake could walk upright and a dog could... You know, I think we'll just leave that little folksy saying where it belongs, in the deep dark nether, as it is intensely vulgar. Yeah, I know, I can hear you all crying about, oh no, he's not telling us the vulgar joke, now we all feel left out. Okay. To try and make my life a little bit easier, I'm going to thread this last piece on first, because I suspect that this will be easier than attempting it the other way, just because Mongo hands precision, we all know that was never going to happen. So once again we're just going to throw caution to the wind and pretend we know what we're doing, and what's the worst thing that happens? We all die screaming in a helicopter accident. That's the worst thing that could happen. And you know what? We've already made our peace with that. So, yeah. Said that a couple of times in America and some people got really upset at me. Why would you say that? That's terrible. What if I did? What if someone I knew or loved died in a helicopter accident? I'm sorry. I didn't realize anyone actually loved you. I still managed to make friends in America, though, in spite of my predilection to be a jerk. Yeah, this is definitely like attempting to copulate with a flaccid cock. If you do not know what I mean, congratulations. For those that do know what I mean, I am very sorry you know this. Okay, so... And we just... Oh my god, it's actually a piece of plastic tubing. Well, that explains so much. That's why it's such a struggle. Ah, fucking hell. Okay. The mystery of why this is such a godless kick in the dick has been discovered. Yep. For those that are trying to sleep and are hearing a large cat running around and thumping into things, welcome to my world. Coffee and cake will be served when we remember to bake a cake. So, yeah, sometime between the never and the now. Okay, so... This is disturbingly loose, in my opinion. However, I do not believe I have a grippy thing. Let me... Oh, there we go. Okay, I'm more comfortable with how tight that is now, although maybe I shouldn't be. And I'm going to make a... you know what, I won't actually make a modification. Let's just... I might actually have to make a modification. You know what, we'll just live with that. that is what we've made so far. And now we find out that I need to combine. Wow. I need to combine 27 coloured cones together. Oh man. I'm not saying Jesus hates me, I'm just saying, like, he's definitely urinating on my doorstep as we speak. And I stand by the statement that blasphemy is a victimless crime. I know some people don't believe me, but, you know, that's kind of on them. Okay, so let's count them out. Well, I think if nothing else, the sense of achievement is going to put me to sleep when I finally do this, because this really... I'm enjoying this kit. I'm enjoying this kit immensely. I'm going to be a little bit sad when I do not have another kit like it to build immediately. But this is definitely dick-kicking country. This is where people, instead of greeting you with a firm handshake, just give you a quick, swift kick to the nuts and call it good. Because, yeah, I'm threading these little cones onto a piece of flexible rubber. So we can make up a flexible shaft for all this, which, yeah, definitely one way to go about doing it. See if we can thread on multiple ones at the same time. I have a feeling the friction is just going to be a bit too hard to, yeah, of course. Yeah, this is a little bit too much friction to do more than one at a time. Yeah. I do like the reinforcing of the strap though. The strap does feel like a good solution to the problem. I think another reason why I don't really want to go to sleep is by being dreaming of owning a boat a lot recently, which is not something I really want to do. Like, don't get me wrong, I'd love to own a boat. I would love to be free to sail the Pacific and live free as my ancestors did, beholden to no one but time and tide and wind, tide and wind. And it's a beautiful dream to be free, living as one will. But I don't trust dreams that are seductive. I mean, even when I held dreams that could be best described as socially acceptable, they were kind of... I dreamed of maybe somebody loving me. And I dreamed dangerous dreams of maybe having a house with a garden. And maybe a car. You know, more than willing to use public transport or walk everywhere. Like, they're not huge world-cracking dreams. I mean, like I said, this is going back to when I still had dreams and still allowed myself to dream. I suppose allow myself to dream would be the better term to use. It kind of feels too dangerous and treacherous to really dream. It's like that Christopher Lambert movie, fortress. If you don't dream, they can't hurt you with it. The other thing it's always struck me as one of the powerful injustices of the world is that pretty much everyone is denied their dreams. Now, a lot of people, to be intensely cynical and mean, their dreams are stupid. You know, dreams of being a YouTube star or being a pro gamer or an elite athlete or something like that. Like that shit's all luck. All it ever is luck. You know. Oh, you can train and you can stack the odds in your favour as much as you want, don't get me wrong, like there's a lot of effort that has to go in there, but all you're doing is stacking the luck in your favour. Because if you're an elite athlete, you win when your opponent has, you know, when their mistakes are less critical than yours. You know, it's not the person standing on the podium at the end of a sporting performance is the person whose mistakes were the least critical. It's like, you know, the guy that wins the war is not the general. The general that wins the war is not the general who makes no mistakes. It's the general that made the least number of critical mistakes. 6, 8, 13. Like, it's not about no mistakes, it's about minimizing your mistakes. Making sure that your opponent's mistakes are bigger and more terrifying than yours, so that you survive. Okay, and now we join these fuckers together. Oh, there we go, kids. A big old dangly one of them. You know what? It still looks nice. I should attempt to position the camera so that you all can see the flowers that we're building, but instead I will just continue with this potato can special. Okay, so now part of me wants to call this a hydrangea, but I'm pretty sure I'd be wrong if I did that. This is the next guy we are building. Anyway, potato cam doesn't want to focus, and I get it. I don't want to focus either. That's how we know I've got ADHD. Just want to run and sing and hide in the woods. But we are not allowed to hide in the woods, are we, children? Which always seemed unfair. We should be allowed to hide in the woods. Why not hide in the woods? Not hiding in the woods hasn't worked so far. Maybe hiding in the woods would work. Yeah. But we never know because we never actually attempt to try it. We're all too busy making judgments about not hiding in the woods. Maybe just once we should try hiding in the woods. What's the worst thing that could happen? We're free. Well, that would be the worst thing, I guess. My God, can you imagine people being free? That'd do their heads right in, it would. Okie dokie, on the bright side, it appears that all these are going to be the same colour. So, yay me, I guess. But yeah, anyway, I feel that kind of, you know, maybe running off to the woods should be allowed. I mean, it's not really allowed in Australia. It's not really allowed in any country. You can't just run off into the woods and never be seen. If nothing else, someone will come for their taxes that you must surely owe somebody at some point, somewhere. You know, you can't just allow people to check out of the system willy-nilly. God, it'd be chaos. What would prevent people from quitting their jobs and running off into the woods if everyone was just allowed to run off into the woods? And that's kind of the one of the arguments for the existence of preppers, by making the checkout community so indescribably insane that no sane person would want to join them. Kind of allows you to prevent people from wondering, well, why don't we just wander off? Why don't we just go live in the woods and not pay taxes, etc.? And the answer is because you would then be associating with a group of people that are best described as dangerous lunatics. I'm not talking about people that live off-grid. I'm talking about the people who plan for the apocalypse. And off-grid living still requires either a Patreon or a patron. Yeah, me speak English good. It still requires someone to either gift or give you the land, and arrangements to be made to pay things like taxes and utility bills and... oh shit, there's plenty of people you can ask that'll tell you that to live off-grid you need to spend an awful lot of money getting there. And the problem with that is, by the time you get there, you're either going to be tired of the whole goddamn thing, or broke, or both. You know, it's... honestly, it's one of the problems with actually running off and living on a boat. Not only do boats cost tens of thousands of dollars, there is the routine upkeep, etc. of said. And, for example, the lowest maintenance boat that is also the easiest repaired in the world is a steel-hulled vessel. Because if push comes to shove, you can get an oxyacetylene torch and braze it, and if you get really desperate, you can carry magnesium powder with you and do controlled burn line welding. It's not a great idea. It leads to deep metamorphic zones on the metal, which is increased areas of brittleness, which is not what you want from metal. Steel is ductile. It needs a lot of its strength comes from its ductility, and so welding modifies that. There's all sorts of amazing little tricks you do to get around that. Preheat the surface, slow cool it, etc. to control crystalline growth in the metal. All sorts of stuff like that. Boilermaking is quite a complicated and difficult field. One of the numerous things that I studied back when I was trying to figure out what the hell I was going to do. But there's no such thing as a maintenance-free hull. So even if you get a steel hull, and even if it is new and fine, and you maintain the anodes so it doesn't corrode, that's actually how you prevent a steeled hull ship from corroding, for those that are interested. You put things called sacrificial anodes, which are usually zinc, lumps of zinc, of a certain weight for a certain size of ship, and you bolt those to the ship, bare metal to bare metal. And because of the increased conductivity of the sacrificial anode, it corrodes in preference to the ship. So, like, even the lowest rent option, or the lowest maintenance option for a ship, still requires a significant outlay and regular maintenance, and there is still the fact that you could just be sailing one day and a rogue wave comes that is 100 foot tall and proceeds to smash your steel-hulled ship like it is made out of matchwood, because that is what ear killer, the Pacific Ocean. That is what it will do to you if you do not respect it and do not pay attention for a single second. Pound for pound, one of the most inhospitable places on Earth, because there's just no respite from it. From the eternal vigilance, I mean. Like, obviously there's a respite from the Pacific. You just find yourself a goddamn island and swear that you'll never leave ever again until, like, you get bored and then leave. Like, I'm not going to sit there and pretend that sailing the ocean is a perfect solution and would solve all sorts of, you know, it solves all problems and fixes everything. It doesn't. It just changes your problems. You know, you get a mortgage to buy a house. You've got your rates for electricity, your upkeep. You know, but on the bright side, you're conforming to what society expects you to do, so there's a little bit of leeway. People think it's odd that you have decided to paint your house purple and refer to it as Shangri-La, but if you tell people you want to live on a boat and sail the Pacific, be prepared for a 4-hour conversation in which they attempt to persuade you from your madness. Which, you know, it's sweet and endearing, but, you know, maybe I am fated to die the second day I am away from the coast in Bass Strait. If that is my fate, who am I to deny it? I don't really believe in fate, for the record. It would be nice if there was a plan, if all sorts of things were predestined, etc., but they're not. Like, that's not how shit is. Just going to go through my parts bin to see if I've got a relatively, yes, I do have a relatively neutral piece that I can stuff in there, because the spacing just is, it's just not quite right for the top. There we go. Okie dokie, just added a small spacer, just in the different coloured piece. It should be all green, just because it wasn't quite sitting level. I probably could have heated up the leaves and done a small amount of modification, but it felt kind of like a waste of time. Okay, so we need that piece and 6 of these guys. So yeah, a lot of well-meaning people will try to persuade you from what they perceive as killing yourself meaninglessly if you talk about buying a boat. Or you get interest from the wrong type of person, a person in their mid-20s who thinks the idea sounds extremely romantic / Instagrammable and loves the idea of sailing the Pacific. The only problem is that sailing the Pacific is not a, I don't want to say it's not easy. It's not the type of goal that people think it is, if that makes any sense. Probably doesn't. So we're joining the other one to this. Okay. Okie dokie. See, the cool thing is these instructions actually have a little one-to-one bit on them, like right there. So you can get the piece, the size piece that you need, and you can just gauge it against the piece that you're trying to make. And lo and behold, you'll be able to figure out post-haste as to whether or not you're going in the right direction. Which is quite nice. Okay, so now we have finished. Oh, it's all pink puffball. And once again, I think that's quite a nice, maybe it's just my 90s nostalgia kicking in, but I think that's quite a nice flower. And now it appears to be that we are making, yeah, this definitely looks like a standard rose. Or at least a reasonable facsimile thereof. Anyway, yeah, if you attempt to do something like, or if you dare whisper the idea of living on a boat, you will get some very, very concerned people. Not even really, not even like helpful concerns. Like, you don't get people sitting there going, my God, have you thought about desalinization of water? How are you going to go about doing that? Like, you don't get helpful ideas like that. What you get is people deciding that you have decided to cast aspersions on the choices that they have made about their lives, and as you have made a judgment call about their life, apparently they must make a judgment call about your life, apparently, because that's how the wonderful world works. Personally, I never really understood that. I don't believe that my choices reflect my own neuroses. I feel that other people's choices similarly reflect their own neuroses themselves. I don't expect the majority of people to understand, accept, or even understand the decisions I've made or will make, because I don't understand the decisions most people make. I've never been in a relationship with someone that I didn't like. Like, I've never had sex with someone that I didn't find attractive. I don't understand how or why people do these things to themselves. Like, but they do. Like, people keep consistently doing these things. And it is deeply, deeply disturbing to me. Like, your life isn't particularly long. I mean, I know the last 2 years feel like they've dragged on. The last 3 years feel like they have dragged on forever. But they haven't. They're the exact same length as every other year. Like, the reason they feel so long is that you have people pointing out every single second what you're missing out on doing. And once again, okay, cool, fine, whatever. I get it. The entire system that we live under is run on fear of missing out. And, you know, it's predicated on that. You know, don't move to another country because you will end up poor and destitute. Stay in your home country, but travel. You know, what if you never see your friends again? What if something happens to your friends? Like, it's called life, you know? Like, unfortunately, if you lead a good life, people will drift in and out of your life. It's sad and frustrating. And it's also how the fucking world works. Like, Maybe it's an old English rose, actually. Maybe I was wrong to call it a standard rose. Just basing that on the fact that this guy has clearly got 2 layers of petals that I didn't really twig previously. Maybe it's a Chinese rose. Anyway, it's definitely a rose, and I think that is cool. And apparently I meant to drive these fairly far in. So yeah, drive those fuckers deep, eh? Okay. We'll just push them hard against the table and hope to whatever dark gods listen that we don't break anything. Yeah, that's definitely a crunchy feeling. See, I've had enough of a mechanical education to have a real dislike of wanting to force things. For those that have experienced it, there's nothing quite like the existential terror of... Okay, yeah, cool. Nothing like the existential terror of forcing something that is not meant to be forced and realizing that you have broken it. So, does that mean that... Okay. Now that we've figured out the mystery of which way the petals go, a profoundly important mystery, this guy should just go on like a son bitch. Okay, can we just... Am I able to rotate this slightly without breaking anything? Yes. Okay. Okay, cool. Well, I'll just shut that as much as we can and then open it up later. Anyway, back to the thoughts about forcing things. You don't really want to force things from a mechanical standpoint because they're either meant to go together or they don't. And if you force them, generally you break them. And breaking things is bad, okay. Okay, so let me slip this guy. It's very clever. You will not be surprised to realize that I've put yet another piece on the wrong way. For those that are playing along with a copy of our home game, yet again he has put a piece on the wrong way. I feel that's part of the entertainment. It adds to the drastic authenticity of what we are doing here. You know that this was not assembled by a professional. This was assembled with love and care and something by an artisanal idiot trained in the old ways of idiocy. Reminds me of one of the very few Monty Python skits to still stand up today, which is the village idiot scene, in which it turns out that village idiots are actually highly trained and extremely well educated, and it's just it's just a job. And you know, unfortunately, a lot of the youth are falling in love with going into politics instead and becoming conservatives, which I always thought was an amazing bit of social commentary. More so now, as we look at John Cleese and go, wow, young you would definitely beat the shit out of you, buddy. Like, there's not even any question. You would beat the shit out of yourself. You know, I guess someone's got to live that life. I'm not going to. Six, 7, 8. So now we're getting 18 of these little brown buggers. I suppose I should show you the pieces. We're getting 18 of those and assemble them together to make a part of the stem of the rose. And then there's some leaves and stuff to add, and then, oh no, there's still one more flower to make after this, so this is probably going to be one of the longest videos on the channel, or on the playlist, because we're already over an hour here, kids. And I'm hoping by now that if you're listening to this to fall asleep, that you are well and truly asleep, but I've been given all sorts of strange dreams about sailing the Pacific and decolonisation. John Cleese. I feel I should apologise for the John Cleese bit, but I'm not going to. There's a difference between should apologise and are actually going to apologise. I like that one from politicians. You know, sometimes you should apologise for a thing, but that doesn't mean you have to. Anyway, depending on how long it takes for the... well, actually, it depends on how bored I get next week. I may actually bite the bullet and buy more actual Danish... or I may actually buy more legitimate Lego flowers to build. The whole idea of filling this vase up with Lego flowers strikes me as a very soothing and relaxing idea. I mean, we're almost there now, and it's really only been 2 kits worth of flowers going in there. Obviously, the kit for the succulents, you know, it doesn't really fit in there, and so it sits out here on its own. But this kind of, to me, feeds a little bit into something I said on a video a while ago about, you know, if you're a dude or dude adjacent and you want to have flowers, just go out there and buy flowers. You know, it doesn't, having flowers doesn't have to be weird. You don't have to make things strange. You can just do shit. Which feels strange that I have to articulate it, and then it's like, yeah, but you still gotta articulate it. You know what I mean? Like, it feels strange to have to say, but I also live in a world in which I have to say, you know, there's nothing wrong with a dude wanting to have flowers. And I feel that there is a not insignificant amount of pushback from... Oh, actually, that's quite nice. They've actually painted the rose flower veins on the actual rose leaf, which is a bit better than using pterodactyl wings, which was the official Lego solution. That kind of feels a little bit cheap looking compared to actually painting a piece specifically to look like a leaf, or at least in my humble opinion it looks a little bit cheap compared to doing that. Your mileage of course may vary, and you most likely are asleep right now. Yep, doing another kink. That's right, kids, the roses are kinky. Must be all the fucking they get up to. Well, I know, it's because a rose blossom turns quite heavily in the... Oh, no, you are not. Okay. Yeah, that kind of feels a bit... That feels like that needs an extra piece on there for security, but I don't have an extra piece. So the way this ultimately is going together is quite... Well, it's quite fragile. The join is ultimately maintained by a very small piece of black plastic. But I'm going to try and extend out a little bit more. If I can. Nope, instead we're just going to drop and smash it. Okie dokie. On the bright side, it only exploded into about 4 pieces. So, well, there's a good chance that I used the wrong central connector. On the bright side, I appear to have threaded up the end enough that it's going to have enough. No, what we're doing. Yeah, that should go like... No, that's what I've done. Can't even remember the simple steps of putting this thing back together. Jesus, man, it's like you're tired or something. So there is an error that I've built into this one. We'll even pretend it's deliberate. It's not. It's just that there's not much I can do about it now, this late at night. So, actually no, I am actually just going to have to pull it apart and fix it. So, let's just get at it. Pitter patter. Basically, I didn't realise the part that is meant to hang out isn't meant to hang out. That's what she said. And unfortunately, it appears that the amount of angle of this particular dangle is super critical. So, let's just pull this butter out. So, okay, now if I put that on there and then proceed to push that like so. Ha! Take that, universe. Okie dokie, I'm not sure if I can get the piece that I just firmly squished onto that off. So, we will now resume our regularly scheduled attempting to put this thing back together. Okay. Hopefully we'll finally get a reveal. But on the bright side, I think it is a nicer rose than the Lego one. I kind of feel the Lego one is a bit too crude and isn't as refined. Well, in my opinion, it is too heavily built for a standard rose, or for really any rose. Roses are kind of delicate and ephemeral pains in the arse that are covered in thorns. There we go, kids. Yay! And like I said, compared to, say, this Lego rose, I kind of think this is the better rose. Like I said, a little bit more delicate. You know, appears to be a little bit more ethereal, and that's kind of what I expect to see from an actual standard rose. You would expect to see them. Okay, so we need that piece. Okay. So I have no idea what this next one is. Sorry. I have no idea what the next thing that we're going to be. What type of flower it is. It looks quite pretty and delicate, but I wouldn't know if it's set fire to my house, to be brutally honest. But oh wait, that's the wrong way. Wait, what? Okay. Let's flip ahead in the instructions to see if... No, that's the way they're supposed to go. Okay, cool. Not gonna fight it. Okay, so assembling these flowers is it's a little double flower. So we have a white outer petals, and in a set of petals, stamen, I guess, that gets pushed in the middle. When my Mongo fingers can get it to go in. Like so. And then we attach this with a little green bastard there. And that allows us to start to clip busy flowers on. And there's going to be 8 of them. 6 of them, or 47 of them, 8 of them by the looks of things. Probably should learn to count. Although I'd like to point out that it's 1 o'clock in the morning. Actually, no, it's close to 2 o'clock in the morning if I'm being 100% honest. I feel like I should do something productive next, like write some poetry or hit myself in the head with a hammer. But like I said, we'll kick this off in its entirety, get it up on the channel. I've uploaded the 2 videos that make up the boutique video, recorded in the stinking heat, that actually made my phone shut down due to the heat. That's why it's in 2 parts. And it took me 8 minutes to realise because I'm 100% on the bounce with my head on a swivel. And now the last of them. Awesome. And this is the point at which my eyes start to refuse to work. Yes, I can hear you all yelling at me to just go to sleep. Joke's on you, I can't hear you. That and the fact 100% finishing this will almost certainly rip some tension out of my skull and make me go to sleep. Oh, the great irony, children. I just do have to flip ahead in the instructions to make sure I don't actually need those parts. But I appear to have made the flowers out of parts I didn't actually need. Which, at this time of night, I'm just going to take as that is amazingly hilarious. Yeah, cool. I'm totally not too exhausted to be doing this. Yeah, I legitimately appear to have used spare parts to assemble this flower. Or at least I'm supposed to use. I'm not even gonna bother now. It's done. It looks kind of cool. I don't think I need the rest of them. Yeah, no, I don't actually. I don't actually need the pieces that I horrendously used. They're spares, so well, they're not spares anymore. They're the parts I'm using to make it more improved. So yeah, those little stameny things that I used were not the parts to use. So if you're using this on a how-to video, don't. Double plus don't. And so let's just push these up like that. That is our adorable little flower head. If I can get it to focus at all. I should probably figure out some way to have a solid background back here so things will focus better. I probably should have done that before 1 o'clock in the morning. So it's almost certainly not going to get done now, guys. Sorry. I can tell you're all devastated. And now we throw 25 of these guys together. Interesting fact, 4 is the largest number you can count to without actually having to use numbers. Crows can identify up to 4 things. After that you actually have to learn how to count. I always thought that was fascinating. Because it actually, I end up using it at work. It's very quiet. It's quite easy to break things up into multiples of 4 when you're counting, and then you can just count the multiples. And yeah, I thought it was cool. I'd explain that trick to a number of people. No one look at me like I'm a witch. Wait, what? I'm like, you don't actually have to count to get to 4. 4 is a number. 4 for whatever reason. It's in this book, 1 to 0. A history of numbers. I always have a copy of this book because it is one of the greatest, in my opinion, numbers and number theory. It's seminal human knowledge. Another book I've got, to me, shows everything that's wrong. It's called Maths You Can't Use. It's about the problem of being able to copyright software that is effectively mathematical equations. And what happens is, and the reason that is possible, is because fundamentally the maths that is being used is divorced from being pure maths and given an apparent limited scope in an application. But the problem is patents are generally written by lawyers to be as broad as possible, to catch as much as possible in that net. And so, that's why you get copyright trolls. That's why you get astroturfing on ideas. That's why you end up with massive, legal thermonuclear wars that lend to Cold War pieces with patent portfolios. And this is seen as a good and just thing because a few people get insanely rich while the rest of us get to live in the mud and the dirt, the blood and the shit. But as long as those rich people get richer, that's all that matters. But yeah, I'm not good at maths, also because I've never had a particularly good teacher. But more than that, I've never really had the opportunity to study the type of maths that I wanted to study, which I think is more of a limitation to learning than people really want to admit. Because that would imply a whole bunch of ugly things that people don't really want to think about or deal with, and that's cool. But anyway, important part of the story is that you can count to 4, or everything can count to 4. Cats, dogs, cows. Damn, Maui could probably count to 4. Just need to convince him that it's worthwhile, which would be a challenge. That would be the challenge, convincing him it's worthwhile. And there's another 7 to be added on the bottom, right. Righty-o then, boys. Actually, let's have 26 in the stack. And that goes there. And then okey-dokey. And then we just plug this into there and we get to call it done. Okie dokie. That is our completed one of those. The penultimate piece of this kit. Okay, and now to do our stylized leaves. For that is all that remains. So, this guy. 6. Yep. Another one of these exciting pieces to build. Well, at least there's plenty of spares, which I guess brings me happiness, joy, feelings of completion, knowing that I have all this spare Lego that I'm not going to use. Well, okie dokie, that'll do. I'm just randomly inserting additional parts. For reasons, I'm not just doing it because I'm a madman. Well, I am, but like, you know, don't like that, hold you back. Okay, so put that there, and then what? Okay. I was about to say, great, the part doesn't fit. It does fit. It just once again requires a bit more brute force than I'm comfortable using. I know, right? A big, vicious monster like me afraid to use force? This must be some kind of joke, so... Okay, I'm legitimately... That's partly how it goes together. It doesn't really bend the way it does in the cool diagram, but there we go. That is our decorative leaf. Not really as big and impressive as the Lego decorative leaves, to be brutally honest. But okay, there we go. Let's do a little panoramic shot of what we have managed to do. So there we go. There's our little pink puffball under there, and that's it, guys. Yeah, we'll catch you on the flip side.